The BenQ LK936ST has claimed its title as the best golf simulator projector available to date. Its price definitely reflects its reputation, however, as it's also one of the most expensive. BenQ is always innovating new projectors with great specs at more affordable prices, and the TK700STi seems to offer it all. We want to compare the $4,900 LK936ST versus the $1,700 TK700STi to see just how big of a difference there is in how these projectors perform. Here's a detailed list of the specs for each projector. The TK700STi and the LK936ST both have horizontal and vertical keystone correction. This makes them great for golf simulator setups where you need to mount your projector off-center from the screen. The LK936ST also comes equipped with horizontal and vertical lens shift, which is manually controlled by two dials underneath the top access panel. So the winner by a small margin is the LK936ST. The biggest difference between these two projectors in picture quality is the light source. The LK936ST is a laser projector, making the image 2,000 lumens brighter. As you'll see in the testing later in the video, the color of the LK936ST is also very vibrant and saturated. However, the brightness of these projectors seems to be a lot closer in real life versus on paper. Still, the winner here is the LK936ST. For longevity, the LK936 also wins in this regard because of its laser light source. It has 20,000 hours of life compared to the 4,000 hours that the TK700STi offers. The replacement bulb for the TK700, however, is fairly cheap with a price of about $160 at the moment and is fairly simple to replace. If you never want to worry about having to replace a bulb, the LK936ST is going to be a great option. This is the first category on paper where the more affordable TK700STi beats out the competition. It has an input lag of 16.7 at a 4K resolution and up to 4 milliseconds at 1080p. The LK936ST has an input lag of 34 milliseconds at 4K, or about double that of the TK700STi. All that being said, you probably wouldn't be able to discern any difference in lag performance when golfing on your simulator. The LK936 has more powerful speakers than the TK700 at 10 watts versus 5 watts. Both have pretty impressive sound as far as internal projector speakers go, but we would always recommend having an external audio source altogether for great audio quality. Now let's take a real-world look at how both of these projectors perform in a simulator. Alright, so now we're going to do some real-world testing. We're going to look at the TK700STi and compare it to the LK936ST projector. Looking at the setup of the two different projectors, we've got the LK936ST ceiling mounted with the TK700STi on the floor. We have the TK700 on a little platform that we made to get it to the same vertical offset as the LK936 is when hanging from the ceiling. We have both of them mounted off-center in the same position. The throw distance is going to be similar. The TK700STi, we did have to shift back just a little bit to be able to get it to fill the entire screen. Next, we performed a brightness test where we used a light meter to measure the amount of light that hits the screen from each projector. The LK936 gave us a reading of 130 lux at 15 feet from the projector to the screen. We did the same test with the TK700STi and got a reading of 120 lux, which we were pretty surprised with considering that the TK700 is rated at 3,000 lumens and the LK936 is rated for 5,100 lumens. After testing brightness, we tested each projector for dynamic range, color accuracy, and sharpness. To keep the test fair, we left each projector with its factory default settings. All right, so looking at dynamic range, let's look down here first of all. You can see on this grayscale. Again, very clearly defined areas between the different colors, not a lot, if any, bleed through at all between those sections. And then looking up above it, from the dark gray to black here, you can start to see some definition probably right in this area where it starts to get lighter. And again, a very smooth transition all the way through. And then finally, probably right about here, is where it looks like it finally gets to white and you start to lose that grayscale. That range looks fantastic. I think it's very similar to the LK936ST. All right, looking at the sharpness, when you get up here, again, it might not show up on the camera very well, but you can see over towards this side, when you get up here, you can see very clearly defined lines in that area, even up top with both the horizontal and vertical lines. Pretty clear definition between all of them. In the crosshatch up here, I mean, you can clearly just see all the squares. There's not much, again, if any, blurring between it. It's very clear definition. Looking at colors, I think we notice first of all that the colors probably aren't quite as vibrant on the TK700STi as we notice on the LK936. I mean, they still look fantastic. I think the laser output from that LK936ST just gives it some more pop. And then also the colors on this one, they seem to maybe be a little warmer, I guess is the best way to put it, than we saw on the LK936ST. Looking at the color gradient up here, I mean, it looks like it's pretty similar to the LK936ST. Maybe a little bit less definition with some of the reds down in this area, but I don't know that it would really be anything too noticeable unless we were looking at them side by side. So one thing we did notice when looking over in the black and white kind of checkerboard area here is there is some color fringing. We noticed that along kind of this area, we can see from the transition from black to white, there's a slight bit of green in some areas and a little bit of magenta in others that we notice comes through. And that color fringing, it's possible it's coming from the lens on the projector. It's something where if you're really paying attention, you'll notice it, but otherwise, I mean, it's there, but I don't think it's anything that I would ever notice unless I'm really paying close attention like we are right now, getting right up on the screen and looking super close at everything. So looking at dynamic range, we're looking down here in this area. You can see right here, there's a very clearly defined section for each of these grays where there's no bleed through, very clear areas there. And then looking up above it at this gradient, you can start to see pretty clearly right in this area where you can see the black starting to transition to the gray. And you can see, it's a very smooth transition. There's not a lot of, sharp jumps from one color to the next. And you can see there's, a difference in color all the way up until you get into about this area where it finally goes to white. So this distinct separation between each of these shades is exactly what you want to see. So looking at the sharpness on the projector, I don't know if you'll be able to see it on the camera, but getting up here into these really thin lines, you can see there's a clear distinction between the lines. Even when you get into this cross hatching right in this area, you can see when you get right up next to it, there are clearly defined squares there. There's very little blur even when you get to that fine of a definition. And then the same goes for down here on this line. When you start to get to the end, I mean, again, not sure how well it's showing up on the camera, but you can see clearly defined lines, even all the way up to the end where those lines start to get really small and a lot of fine detail. So on this one, you'll notice on the checkerboard pattern on the lines, it's a very white color. You don't see any of the fringing that we've noticed on the TK700STi. So this is very white, whereas on the TK700, you saw a little bit of magenta and maybe some green bleeding through into the white area. Looking at the color, I mean, we were comparing this to what we're seeing on a monitor, and the colors seem very accurate when looking at on the screen compared to what we saw on a monitor. The reds maybe have slightly more pop on the monitor, but you can still see here, they're bright. They look fantastic. Looking at the color gradient here, you can start to see definition and color right in this area, and you can see all the way up, just smooth transitions from your reds to yellows, greens, blues. I mean, there's no like hard line really. It's just nice smooth transitions, and you can see that color change all the way until you get probably right in this area somewhere. So excellent color off of the projector. Here are some side-by-side examples comparing each projector. Next, we ran through a few different courses on GS Pro to show you what gameplay looks like using each projector. Here's an example using video to show the image performance of each projector for those planning on using their setup to watch movies or video. Here's an example of how these projectors look with some ambient light, if you don't have a light-controlled space. We're sitting at about 12 or so lux for our ambient light brightness hitting the screen, so this is what the screen will look like in a non-light controlled area with each projector. So which projector should you buy? Well, that's really up to what you're looking for in a projector and what you're willing to spend. The TK700STi is fantastic for its price point. In our eyes, it's essentially a mini LK936ST. It's a perfect option for those looking to get a high quality 4K projector for their simulator with all the bells and whistles. I think the price difference really comes down to the quality of the hardware used in each projector. The color fringing or chromatic aberration that we were seeing on the TK700 makes us think the BenQ has got the best glass and coatings possible for the lens on the LK936. That really boosted the price difference, along with the laser light source, of course. If you want the best of the best and want the ultimate image quality and dynamic range, color accuracy, and essentially zero chromatic aberration, you can't beat the LK936ST, but be prepared to pay for it. We hope this video helps you with your projector purchase. Let us know if you have any questions or if you'd like to see any other projectors compared in the comments below. If you appreciate content like this, please take the time to like this video, as it really informs us as to what kind of videos you find helpful and improves our performance in YouTube's algorithms. As always, please like and subscribe for more content on building your own golf simulator setup.